Hey.
Advanced philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes. Advanced philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes. Shoutouts to Andreas, D-Club, my boy Scott, Pedro, and everyone else that engages on my posts. And Sarah, keep it up, man. You'll get there someday. And everyone else from Great Memes. Philosophy memes. We make good memes. Advanced philosophy memes. Base fucking memes.
Dude. So how do you feel?
Dude.
I feel pretty scared, man. I feel like we're getting invaded by hostile foreign drones the size of cars. They're taking over. We're very vulnerable right now as a country, as a people, as a community, and we should come together in solidarity to meet
Dude,
these foreign
Come
invaders.
together.
Right now, over me. Boom, boom,
What
boom.
what did you think about that whole Luigi's Mansion thing? Like, 'cause you're in New York.
Okay,
I
my
just-
whole thing. So I really, when it first happened and no one knew who the guy was, there was a bunch of like leftists on my profiles, like saying like, "Oh, this guy is great. He's a freedom fighter or something." But then once they find out that he's this like gym rat, like borderline conservative guy, you know, he's like, "Yeah, we gotta get people like exercising more. We gotta ban like pocket pussies in Japanese convenience stores." And they got like really disappointed. They were like, "Oh, he's not some communist stalwart hero. He's just this jacked up idiot." But that's awesome.
Yeah, well,
you know, it's like,
and he was a wealthy guy, right? Like he comes from a
Yeah.
family.
His family, I guess,
You
is
know.
like
His brother's a
billionaires or
politician,
something,
right?
which I think
Like
is
Luigi
hilarious.
Mangione. Luigi Mangione has a mansione. You know, he's got a mansion. It's like that's what I thought was a weird sync. That there's this first was the crazy memes about it, and then just the fact that he was, you know, living in a mansion. So yeah, he's a rich character, Ivy League and all that, right?
Yeah,
Well,
he's
wasn't,
the hero of
Bin
the
Laden-
proletariat for sure.
you got to fight fire with fire, man.
Did
I
you
was,
see
I
the
was
thing
saying-
though that Go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna ask, imagine, wouldn't it be hilarious and ironic if this like rich dude's son grows up to be this rich vigilante like Batman? He's like, "I'm gonna stop these psychotic murderers just by beating
Well,
them
you
up
need that-
so
you need-
bad. I'm gonna beat
You,
them so bad they'll need more privatized healthcare. They'll need health insurance."
you, you need an origin story of your parents. You know, Batman's parents were murdered. But did you see this sneaky trick FBI can deploy to stop Luigi Mancione's tipsters from claiming the $60,000 reward in cash?
Oh,
yeah.
that sucks. Sucks to suck, man.
Yeah, because like they can only the reward has to be offered up if the intel leads to arrest and conviction. So they'd have to wait on convictions, arrest and conviction. Bernie did make it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Bernie was like, dude, hold on 1 second. I'll be right there and just wait a second and I'll like edit the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna edit the time. So I went up to the edit button and I was
then you hit start.
well, I added the music. I added the music to the stream because I added like the intro, like music thing. Yeah, you cut the story to the chase. That's what happened. But Bernie's here now.
I'm here. I just got out of the dentist. Half my face is frozen, so if you see me drooling on myself, I didn't have a stroke. It's just freezing.
That's pretty based. All right. There's also a little bit of echo coming from somebody. I just want to check. Is it you? Hello? Yeah, I can hear maybe Colin a bit. But Colin, maybe just talk. How are you doing, buddy? Where are you at?
I'm doing pretty good. I am in Atlanta, Georgia right now, getting loaded with flowers. I am going to be a florist today.
Flower boy delivery.
Nice.
You're like real life Death Stranding, man. You're Sam Porter Bridges, just picking up random shit and bringing it to different
That's
sites.
exactly how I
Oh, no. Keep talking. I'm going to try to work on your audio echo cancellation.
Okay.
Keep talking.
No, I was saying
Play
he's Sam
that
Porter
game some
Bridges.
more. That was a good game. And
Yeah, Norman Reedus and the
I
Funky
want to see what
Fetus.
happens.
Yeah.
All right. Sneaky music. Yeah, I still hear it. No, it's
Is it me?
because, like, no, it's I think it's the headphones, maybe, or, no? Is it you? Oh, it is you. Of course. And I was blaming Colin. Colin was doing fine. And I was just like, it must be Andrew's fault. No, but that's okay, Andrew. Let me work on your audio for a second, just for the fun of it.
I sent over the mind things to you. I was like, it's probably me, bro. I didn't say it, but I was thinking it. So
Yeah.
you kind of
Yeah,
took
but
it from there.
you're actually. But what's crazy is, hold on, check this out. I'm just gonna mute Andrew for a second just to show how good your sound is.
Yo,
This is impressive.
testicular, fuck yes, dealer.
Character for Colin's quality
That's
it's
some
so good.
characteristic. Yeah,
and crispy.
it's really good. Yeah. All right. I'm
Probably because I'm not
impressed.
driving right now for change.
That's fair. So, all right, back to the loud Andrew.
Xirtus.
Do you guys want to see the background there? Is that not the most base thing you've ever seen? It's like a real life APM Xirtus going on.
That's some graffiti.
Dust tag. it's
Super base.
It's just what do you call it? This is all this ash built up in here.
That's based.
Oh, nice. Ridiculous. That's super cool.
You look like
All
Bob
right,
the
well-
Builder, dude, but like cooler.
I've been doing a lot of demo work, so it's like I'm anti-building. But you know, you rebuild after you demo, so it's like that's sort of the way of all things. Sometimes you just gotta raise whatever before you can rebuild better.
As long as you have a good plan of how to rebuild it and make sure that it's going to be better.
Oh yeah, well you know that's above my pay grade. So
Right? First, you just destroy everything, and then we worry about rebuilding after, right? Like, look at Syria now.
someone will get the contract.
Halliburton,
Well,
for sure.
I definitely want to hear and like talk about those things if you guys are into it. Like, I'm all about talking about that. But I want to also do something kind of dumb, which is complain about Facebook. Because Chris and I were trying to communicate earlier and send messages to everybody. And like, I think there's just something in the air because of the wartime in general. But the internet's kind of bad. And I just want to be a first worlder and complain about my internet before we complain about the war in Syria and other people
Geopolitics.
dying. You know what I
no,
mean?
he's
Because
frozen.
like I want to talk about my feelings, what I'm going through. But the irony. So you look at Instagram down, Facebook down. Have you seen both the
Meta's down.
social media?
The
Well, they're having-
metaverse has crashed.
They're having downs. Like it's downs. It's a syndrome of downs happening to Instagram and Facebook. If you
Meta
There
will.
must be an
Down
extra
syndrome.
line in the
It's
code.
meta down syndrome.
Definitely an
Down
extra
with it.
line in the
It's
code.
meta down syndrome. That's pretty good.
Dude, I was
Down
muted
with
when you
it.
made that joke. That was
So,
fucking
but if
funny.
it's both, I like it. But we need to
Am I
assume
smiling or is my
that
face
this is.
frozen?
You're good.
I like
You
that
look
your
a little
face
bit
is like physically frozen.
dentisted.
My internet is meant. My internet is a bit slow. Kind of like. Yeah.
The
Sorry,
syndrome.
Brittany's like, come on now. Yeah. I didn't mean any disrespect to actual people. who have Down syndrome. I'm just saying
Its
though.
meta is down, and it's
No,
a
see, like,
syndrome, right?
that's the thing about saying retarded is like you would have to be retarded to actually like call somebody that's retarded.
No,
We
no,
do it
don't.
away from them.
No, that will get us.
We stay away from
that.
them.
Thing as,
Like
See, look,
you have to call people that aren't retarded retarded.
You can't use the R word.
There aren't
Germany,
enough women or
apparently.
I'd say
people of
use
color
it
in the
conservatively. Don't just like fire it off every second.
God, just use the
chat.
internet
I mean, if
moderately.
you're the Black Eyed Peas, maybe you might be able to get away with it until you don't.
So I think you guys remember when MySpace went down and it was like slowly throttled and eventually it forced you off. MySpace weaned itself. You were like, okay, I can't use it very much effectively anymore. And Facebook showed up being kind of clean and like it looked like a DMV piece of paper, but it was easy to use. Do you remember that transitionary period with MySpace? I feel like we're going through that with X right now.
Yeah, what was so great about MySpace was that in its simplicity, you could customize it a lot, right? You could take the hypertext and fuck around with it.
Yeah, it was a lot more. It was definitely MySpace was cooler. Agreed. I just mean also though, when it was ending, when people were switching over to Facebook at the beginning, which I forget exactly what was that, like 2007, 6, something like that. Someone remembers, like 2006,
Yeah, about
maybe?
2007. Maybe 2006,
so-
for sure.
Yeah, I think by 2007, it was maybe more people were doing it, and you could feel MySpace kind of starting to end.
2005 was like the last year of good MySpace, if I remember correctly. Like 2005, it was still like going strong. 2006, it started to transition over, and by 2007, like you say, it was just over, and everybody was on Facebook.
So Meta was
Other than there was a lot of
Yeah.
Mexicans on on MySpace for a while. Like it was like a really like big like Mexican sort of
loved
community.
Dragon Ball Z, like they were super into DBZ, all of them.
Totally.
Oh, I remember MySpace being glorious and having music and all these weird web pages and hacks and exploits, but that by 2007, basically, when the iPhone came out, between 2006, when it started to emerge in Silicon Valley, at least, I don't know, because I think other people had it first. MySpace by 2007 started being slower and slower until eventually it was switched off and replaced. Like they did like a weird like page replacement for a while, and then they deleted all of the blogs of everybody, and it was like the end of MySpace essentially. But that in the process of doing that, they basically incentivized leaving their platform. And maybe it was the servers were breaking down or whatever it is, but by switching over, then they could focus, because the money that was in MySpace was money from the same people who made Kazaa, right? And was related to Glenn Maxwell, like, or her sister, right? It was Giselle Maxwell, who did, what's the company called? Hold on. Gazelle.
Can't remember.
Max. It's like some weird.
Ghislaine Maxwell, like the one in jail's
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, so Robert Maxwell's daughter, and so we need to go to relatives. Christine Isabel. Is this the one who did software? Yes, Christine Yvonne Molina Maxwell, who did Magellan software, which was Excite Portal. Okay, so Excite was the one before this all. If you remember at all, Excite in 1990 something. It was a virtual platform, Excite web chat. It was pretty cool. Basically, the way things worked then was you showed up in a room, every person had an avatar, they collected in the front of the room here, and then chat names were there, your window was here, and you could see in real time all the messages collected in this virtual room. And that was the software that was created for Magellan that was shared. Basically, I think there's probably versions of this that go back even further in the 80s for military and intelligence. But this was available in the 90s. And then that was replaced with MySpace. But the same investors that were from the Magellan Corporation and worked with News Corp because of Robert Maxwell's associations with the Labour Party and News Corp, which is associated with, what's his name again? The Australian guy, you know? The billionaire from Australia who runs like Fox.
Rupert Murdoch.
Murdoch. Thank you. Sorry. I don't know why that was the hard one to remember. So Rupert Murdoch, and then Rupert Murdoch had investments in software first for what we call not quite malware, but spyware, which they were placing in systems. And eventually, when you use LimeWire had the same investment branch for that. And they were taking, when you installed it on your computer, they could follow everything that you like. They just were controlling an index of your entire internet history and where you were and tracing it back and making it easier and more effective
metadata
to
harvesting.
fingerprint IPs. Yeah, exactly. So then they moved into Facebook with In-Q-Tel, and there was a solid effort to just stop people from using that product, basically. And it feels kind of like that with Facebook. It feels like right now Facebook doesn't want to be Facebook, right? Facebook wants to be Meta game company for kids. They want to study kids now. Yeah. They've like basically post-COVID, post-quarantine kids.
Because
Facebook's
Blue
could
Sky
Facebook
isn't
do?
Meta, right? But it's their other one that was the copy of Twitter that nobody uses.
What are you saying?
I
Meta
forget, but
does
they're both very creepy with
Threads.
Threads, yes.
Meta owns-
Threads, like
Yeah, Meta
So-
Threads, yeah. That's horrible stuff.
yeah, like because if you have an Instagram account, they automatically give you a Threads account, and it's like the Threads opened up for me one day, and it's just like, oh, 18-year-old girl, barely 18-year-old girl. Oh, I'm barely 18. I need a boyfriend, and like it just filled the feed. It was like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, it's
Hardly
an
like-
OnlyFans gateway. It's like it's a pipeline into
Yes.
OnlyFans.
Speaking of which,
and
I
then
could,
that's
I could-
connected.
like on the subject, I could give you guys like a sneak peek to the first terrorist blog post because it's not launched yet. But I actually wrote something on this. It was about how what's it called? Basically, the whole well of social media is like kind of falling apart. It's basically desperate, and it's desperate because it's all powered by like people's attention. And if they're putting like subscription based paywalls in people's ability to actually go out and create content, it's like that's kind of self-defeating or counterintuitive. And I think it's just artificially induced scarcity to like pump up demand, pretty much. At least that's how I look at it.
Definitely, if you have the link, what's the link to your new site?
Oh no, it's not. I didn't launch it yet, but I'm gonna.
Okay, yeah, but do you have the paper? Did you want to share the thing you're saying that you wrote, or
You don't have actually. You know what? Forget it. You don't really have to read that. But that's basically all I was saying was like it's changed because now there's so many different players like Instagram, TikTok, you know, like Twitter, and it's not as centralized anymore. So people's attention is like so diverted between all these different platforms, and also on top of that, people aren't really like producing anything sincerely, like just to produce it. It's always some angle to like market something or to like put some affiliate thing out. It's almost like, I guess, like sincere content is kind of just becoming more scarce. And on top of that, they make the tools to make sincere content even more scarce. So now it's like supposed to put people in the situation where it's like, oh man, you know, like I gotta get my voice heard because it's been so long, and I gotta pay for these services now because how else am I gonna do it? We're like beholden to these companies now.
yeah, so that's the thing that's kind of weird. But this was I think when people talked about human trafficking in Twitter years ago and secret code words in public plain sight to trade drugs or kids or whatever, because a lot of people were using social media to post pictures of products.
Not encourage trading children, though. I
discourage it.
My girlfriend's friend's ex-husband's brother, I think is how it goes, but he's in jail for trying to sell one of his kids online, and it's just a no-no.
Seriously?
You don't, yeah, seriously.
Like, Like, hey, I have a child. It's
He
bid,
made the
start the
news in
bidding.
Canada. Yeah, he
Oh my
tried
God.
selling his kid. Yeah, it was bad. But yeah, don't do that. Don't trade children online. They're not Pokemon cards. All right.
Okay.
Wow,
I'm gonna have to agree. Yeah.
That's pretty wild, yo. Like when you get that, that's very close to Kevin Bacon.
I think that's
that's pretty
sage
harsh.
advice. Sage advice.
Oh, I'm thrown by that. I guess but that's the thing. Like, it's not that outside of your reality that these things happen to people, and that it's so expensive to raise a child in America or in Canada. It's just insane, and it's enticing for people because of the way media is set up. So a lot of people are engaging in something because it's easy to participate in organized crime. I mean, that's crazy to think about how close it hits to home. But the point is, Twitter was one that was caught, and a lot of people were talking about like Pizza Gate, referring to what exactly? Referring to the idea that there was things happening on the internet where secret words were being used in order to communicate about human trafficking. And the first thing that you just said is exactly what's happening now with kids that are looking on Instagram, into Threads, into OnlyFans. I mean, I don't know what was the name of the girl that just is doing the 100. She had sex with 100 dudes in a day, like today or yesterday.
Jesus.
And it was like this. This was all over X, and it's something that we're probably going to have to talk about.
Yeah, it was for
We're
a
gonna have to
record.
talk about this. This
She
is
was
worth
trying to break a
investigating.
record.
I think the next one she's going to do is 1,000. And
I think
don't
she was
know.
just
All right,
going
I gotta
for
go for a
101.
cigarette now. You're giving me anxiety.
This is like some South Park shit, dude. This is like South Park
Yeah.
in real life. This is
I
what it
don't
sounds
think
like to me.
1,000 in a day is physically possible.
Unpopular opinion in Puritan America.
Oh, she'll try.
So Zana Vrangalova, PhD, NYU professor, NYU girls, right? Unpopular opinion in Puritan America. The reason Lily Phillips doesn't seem very happy after 100 men train is not that it couldn't have been fun or enjoyable. It's that she didn't do it for the right reasons, i.e., her own fun and pleasure.
She did it for clout. She
The
did it for
right
positive
reasons.
She did it for the like.
So this is positive sex feminism versus negative sex feminism. Like, she's saying that sex is a not something that's in that she's selling. Oh my god, I don't know.
I mean, is this that different?
Look how savage she is.
I know, but is this that different from like mukbang? You know, it's turning a perfectly natural act like eating or like sex and like morphing it into this self-destructive shit show where people just like want you basically be gluttonous.
But hold on a second. I think a major source for her disappointment was also that not all 100 of the men were able. She couldn't. Not all of them finished. So I think she took some of that personally because of the
no,
time
that's a
restrictions,
reach, man.
No, I think she said it because each one was only given 2 minutes. So she was like disappointed. Like guys were disappointed when their 2 minutes were up, and you know, and they didn't finish in the 2 minutes. So she internalized that disappointment and sort of like absorbed that projection.
Man, I could see how that would fuck somebody up. I understand. It's messed up.
It's crazy.
I didn't make him come. Oh no, I'm broken.
Yeah, dude, that would really.
I mean,
that would
I'm
give
sure
me
there
the
was
sads. That would give me
There's a
down.
menagerie of feelings compounded in that experience, but I think that she cited that.
Pounded.
particular instance.
Imagine if after that experience she reached nirvana and she's just enlightened now. Like she's like, she's just completely detached from her sense of self and ego, and she's like, I am one with the process.
Well, just think of the psychic energy that you're gonna pull around after a day of 100 getting banged. Like,
It's like walking through the
pull
fires
some-
of hell and coming out the other side
But
transformed.
let's dig into that too, because a lot of that psychic energy was incomplete. You know,
it was wasted.
Yeah, because a lot of the guys didn't finish. There wasn't that energetic release. You know what I
They
mean?
didn't make the connection, bro.
Or maybe
It's
throughout
like-
all
it's like-
maybe,
The operator couldn't connect the call with all of them.
or maybe she's upset
so
that
that's a loss.
she didn't have one orgasm throughout that whole thing. Throughout all 100 guys, not one time did she finish. So maybe that's why she's upset.
Dude, she must like. I would be upset if I didn't
Did he
get
do
off
it?
once out of 100 dudes. You know what I mean?
Man, that's just she doesn't deserve it. That's karma right there, all right? That's what you get when you get nailed by 100 in a day. No,
I feel like that's very sex negative,
that's how
bro.
it
And
goes.
I think that we all should feel bad for this girl because she feels bad.
I don't really feel bad for her. She's an adult. She made her own decisions. Is she older than 25? Because 25
The
is when your
question
brain finishes
is,
developing.
does
has a
she spit on
PhD,
that
so-
thing?
Yeah,
I mean,
she's a
I'm
grown
just-
up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I wonder about like you said, karma, and I wonder about if she. I mean, is this like a reincarnation
Yeah,
thing that's tying
self-immolation.
her to like all these different lives? Yeah, it seems like a trial by fire in this weird way, and tying her to all of these different souls for not just a lifetime, but like for all time. And maybe that's just
Eternity.
crazy, but that was the first thought I had. I was like, this is insane to
Yeah.
do, and that they want to do more is wild. That's insane to me. But
100 isn't
guess
enough. That's just the
what do you
test run.
yeah, so I just what does that even mean, really?
What
to,
does
like,
she
the
win,
human spirit?
dude? Like, what does she win?
Well,
What
someone
was she
said-
going for it for?
A one-way trip to
filming this?
hell.
She didn't break her record. She broke herself, all for cheap applause, empty recognition, and money that can't buy back what's been lost. I mean, I hate being in agreement with puritanical America, but it kind of feels like that, right? It feels like that. It's crazy. Which side do you think is correct? That she should be doing whatever she wants to reach her own pleasure, but the fact is she has no free will because she's driven
And
by
she didn't get pleasured
money.
once by those 100 guys, apparently.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's more like it's not a shame thing. It shouldn't be a shame thing. What you should look at it as like a self-harm kind of thing. You know, like if you look at someone like
Yeah.
nailing their own hand to a wooden table, aren't you going to be like, hey, you shouldn't do that probably. Like it's probably not good for you, but hey, who am I to stop
I
you?
mean, like, how many is it going to take? 100, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 before people finally realize, like, hey, wait, like that actually isn't very moral. Like, where's the line going to
Yeah,
be where
I don't-
people
I don't-
finally say, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe we shouldn't be trying to be in your corner about that. Like, I don't know, dude. Like, for me, I get off at like maybe let's keep it at a good 2 or 3, and like let's cut it. Let's cut it at 3.
Asking for a friend, what do you do when you find out that your buddy and his high school wife now is on OnlyFans, and your buddy is filming your old buddies doing things on OnlyFans with his wife? The
Cucking.
next time you run into him at the grocery store.
I wouldn't say anything about it. I would probably
Yeah, it's
feel
gonna be-
very differently about him, but I wouldn't say anything. I would just be like, dude, bro, and just walk away. I'll just look at him, shake my head, and be like,
Pretty much.
dude.
Shout out Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
Twitter
again,
founder
like,
and former CEO Jack.
No, sorry. I'll continue on with that new story. I want to see this.
No, you get if you got. We'll get there. If you wanted to say something, that's fine.
I just wanted to say that I just wanted to say I wouldn't tie morality to the whole thing, because it's kind of like unnecessary at that point. It's really like who's really getting hurt, and it's no one else but her. So supposedly, and if that's the case, then it's not really. I mean, the worst sin of all is like I guess sinning against yourself and whatnot.
Legit, Andrew.
This is what it
I know
looks
you said
like
your
from
phone's about to
this.
die. I just want to like make sure that we're with you in this trying time as your internet is starting.
Andrew's
to
phone's dying,
wane,
yet still
but we're
has
there with
better
you.
internet than Xirtus from Germany.
It's crazy. Twitter
Ooh. I can't
founder
believe
and
these
former
people are still
CEO Jack
loading.
Dorsey.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would dress as a fucking billionaire, just like
That's
that.
kind of my point. Actually, I wanted to say that this is him before had money, and this is him after had money.
Well, shit,
What is
you
that?
gotta
Yeah,
look
bro.
homeless if you have $1 billion, or the homeless are
smartest-
gonna come for you, right? Like you dress up in a nice suit and shit, like you're gonna get taken out. You look
You're like,
homeless. You
let's see
blend
some-
in.
Let's see some punk Italian kid spot me out. Yeah, try to put rounds in me. You can't even see me. I'm invisible.
Well, what does that tell you about money, though? Too, like, I mean, and not having it and having it, and how that affects how you act and having power over your life, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it's to be expected if money supposedly equals freedom, which I kind of disagree with. I think money just equals time. Like if you get more money, you essentially buy yourself more time to do whatever the hell you want, like walk around looking like a bum. It's perfectly fine. I support it. Pretty based.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's gonna
All right, good job.
he's gonna outlive the rest of the billionaires, right? Because like he just blends in with the street.
How do you
That's
do,
true.
fellow poor people?
He's in Kenya. That picture was him in Kenya. Yeah, totally. He's definitely doing that. Living in Kenya.
Well, I don't know how well he'll blend in there, but it's crazy.
It's the eyes. The eyes give it away. This blue-eyed devil.
Blue-eyed billionaire.
My internet seems to hate me, but hey, what about UAPs? This week was supposed to be all these UFOs. Everywhere you go now, there's all these crazy looking silly pictures. Don't you think it's kind of ridiculous or
fake and gay, except for
craft can
plasma
do
orb.
these? Yeah, if a craft can fly and do anti-gravity and all that, it probably should have a cloaking technology. So if this isn't cloaked, then it's because they want you to see it. So it's just
Yeah, dude, it's
super
straight up
blue band.
Illuminati flexing, bro. Like as far as I'm concerned, it's just an Illuminati flex. They're just like, hey, here we are. We're here. This is what we got. This is what we can do. Think twice. Like they're just, you know, call them whatever you want. I like to call them Illuminati. It's the classic. It's the fun one. So that's what I call them.
I mean, to be honest, all the new age communities and circles and channels have been saying like, oh, 2024 is going to be the year of disclosure. 2025 is going to be the year of disclosure. But I don't know. Is it like realistically, like I haven't really seen full disclosure.
Disclosure happened already back when the Pentagon showed the Tic Tacs. They're like, boom, look, it's here. We can't do that, whatever it is.
For me, it was like David Grush that activated some kind of psychosis for me. I was like comfortable in my little reality. And then it's like this guy comes before Congress and I was like, what did he say? They recovered what? Alien bodies? What? And that was just like, what the fuck? But I guess you could consider that like some form of disclosure, right? Because that's what I mean, I haven't seen that in 2022.
About it.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
What's next? Alien sex?
Well, no, what's next is Project Bluebeam, right? Like the government supposedly, this is all part of a plan to fake an alien invasion using real alien technology so that everybody would supposedly submit to like the federal entities being like, please protect us from these
one world government.
Yeah, this ontological shock. Please save me from myself, government. And they're like, don't worry. We know exactly what's going on. We've been in the know for many, many, many years. And they
supposedly
100. Plus.
Supposedly, Warner von Braun said on his deathbed to some assistant lady that's like the last card of the Illuminati. If they're like losing their power, then they're going to do the fake alien invasion.
Yeah,
that's the word on the street.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true, but that's the word.
It was a testimony given by, I forget her name, but it was like the Secret Space Conference or whatever, and she told that she was von Braun's former assistant. I want to say
name dropping.
It's not Catherine Austin Fitz.
I swear her name was like Deborah or something.
Yeah, I think it might have been a Deborah or something. That sounds right to me.
It was pretty like Deborah or Karen kind of sounding. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I remember.
Well, what did this lady say?
Karen Hughes was the World Bank
whistleblower.
Catherine Hughes. Karen Hughes was the World Bank whistleblower for the elongated skull folk. She was the one that claims that they're still in Malta, still running things from the underground.
In the Vatican.
The Illuminati or Rosicrucian or whatever have the giant skull people still.
With their fish hats.
Right? Covering up. Why is the Pope?
You know who drives me crazy? I just want to throw this out there. For some reason, like going into this realm makes me think of this. But who drives me crazy is Jordan Maxwell. You guys ever seen this guy?
No.
Oh, he's just like, yeah, like, and the Admiralty law and all of the language is like based off of other words, and the Admiralty law. And it's just like, Jesus, like people used to eat that up when it was cutting edge and fresh or whatever. But I watch him and like he looks like a fish person. I don't like his face. I don't like his spin. I don't like the way that he tries to boil down all religions as pure, like he's one of these like every religion is pure mind control devices kind of people, and I have a
He looks
soft
like a
spot
fish.
for religions. He does. He's a
Does
fish
look like
person.
a
That's
fish
him.
person. Just
But he
like,
talks about fish people. He talks about fish people and the fish hats of the popes and stuff
And
like
it makes
that.
you think
And the
about
whole
the
time
fish.
he's saying it, I'm like, dude, you
You're
look
a
like a fish. Like I want to see him be like, you know.
Yo,
I can see
all right.
it.
Speaking of like charlatans in this arena, how do you guys feel about Bashar? Do you think he's legit?
He's channeled through a few different entities, and it's like or people
Show us a
or
picture.
whatnot. Or a few different people have channeled the entity of Bashar. Now he speaks also through the Farsight Institute as well. So it's like, are they all just fraudsters, or is he an actual entity? I don't know. Some of the stuff.
What is this one? Let's show the rest of the class. I want to know what this is.
Bashar? You don't know Bashar?
Yeah, I don't know if it's something, I don't remember if I've seen it. So
All right,
Well,
so
you
Bashar.
can't see Bashar. He's an alien entity that supposedly.
oh, you channel him.
Yeah,
So he's
And the
like
main-
Ashtar Command.
and the main guy is this bald dude, and he apparently used to work in like special effects or in show business or something like that. So that already makes it look extra sus. You're like, oh, okay, so this guy is like the grifters of the grifters, you know?
Right. So exactly. You just
Let's see this guy. What's he
I
look
guess
like?
you have
Maybe
to
I've seen him before.
channel Bashar yourself to really find out. Try to channel it and see if it exists or not.
Dude, I'll do a channel tonight of Bashar, all right?
Oh my God, Colin's
On
channel.
camera, please, Steve.
Yeah,
And I'll do it with my new headset so you can hear it better. I'll do
We
Bashar,
probably-
and I'll even have a guest appearance from the Ashtar Command too. Maybe we'll see.
Boom. 2 and 1. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds dangerous.
No, but we should be careful.
Maybe they
doing
start
this stuff.
arguing.
Right? Like, is that how you go full schizophrenic, by just channeling 2 entities at once?
Dude, I've done this channeling thing. We put it up on APM, but APM's gone now. Rest in peace.
I saw that video.
Chris made me into a video of channeling, dude. I don't know, like if just because we're talking about it and we're like, will you maybe play it for the people?
Oh, it's actually pretty long. It's like 5 minutes long, but I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's on the Terrorist TV 24/7 live stream loop, which is actually going on right now, funnily enough. And I'll give you the raw file so you could have it and then just listen to it whatever you want. Or maybe I'll post it as like a standalone video.
Yo, you should play it you should play like a minute of it so people can see it, dude, because it's hysterical. So like I went and I was feeling the vibes of the universe, like super hardcore. And Chris, he challenged me. He said you should channel, and I was like, all right, man, but it's gonna be bullshit. And he was like, just take it seriously anyways. Just do your best. You don't have to throw it up, but I think it would be hilarious because it cracks me up. And it almost sounds like a real channeling. That's what makes it great, you know? Like, and so who's to say whether it was a real channeling or not?
Well, that's the thing, right? I don't think if you're trying to channel stuff like that, like
If
the
it's
more
your
the,
intent, right?
the more serious you take it, I think it's like the less like maybe because it just worked out well because you didn't take it seriously and you let your like subconscious take over. It's like, haha, I'm just joking about it, and then you actually spit out some real shit, and you're like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's funny, but it's really it's its own archetype you could kind of mimic. You're like, you put on a funny voice like, hello, I am Bashar. I am coming from the Ashtar Command. And they talk like in this weird way. And the one thing I can't get down with is the light language. Like they just start making these random noises, and it's like this is my 5D light language, and like only your soul. Yeah.
But like, because it's like the same as like speaking in tongues when people are possessed. Maybe are they like beep boop boop, like speaking some sort of binaural?
See, you're natural. You're a natural channeler, man. You gotta do this professionally. Just start like a YouTube channel. You don't even have to put your face on it. Just start like channeling.
Dude, I want to wear a robe, dude, like a hooded robe, and have
Yes.
candles all around me.
Oh
And
god,
I'll make
you're
those into the videos.
You're gonna be full taken over. Like,
Yo, the sad part is like it could actually be very lucrative. Like people would actually buy this bullshit so hard, and I'm like, holy shit. Oh yeah, this is the.
I just can't start drinking my own Kool-Aid because that would be a problem.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm trying to be careful of when I'm like seeing when I'm like listening
that
to
was
tarot readings and
Bashar
stuff.
al-Assad's biggest problem, drinking his own Kool-Aid. Sorry.
Yeah, so
Hell yeah, Terrorist TV.
Like when I try to like engage with like that spiritual YouTube stuff, you got to be careful because it really like rapidly just infests your whole feed, and all you see are like these AI generated videos of just gassing up your ego. It's like you are the chosen one. Everyone who's ever said anything mean about you is now burning in the fires of hell, and they're suffering.
To all
life sucks.
10,000 people viewing this right now, it has found you well, and it is not a mistake. It is fate that you are here because you are a chosen. Like,
it's like you are one of the 144,000 chosen ones. And everyone else is they're just like not
That's
real.
Sounding like another genocidal regime.
No one has awakened as highly as you have. You are the vanguard of the spiritual world.
It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up because it's like it's also exploitative, like of the most vulnerable people, but in the deepest levels too. So it's not just like saying like, "Oh, you have more money than everybody," or "You're stronger than." It's like literally saying it's like, "No, your soul is just more advanced and developed than everyone else." That's like fucked up, man. You can't just tell that to like millions of people at once. But I don't know. I think it's irresponsible. That's just me. That's just my opinion.
It makes me so tempted to do a channeling where I do one of those and just go fully into it, and it's like, other people will not understand this, but you do.
Yeah, it's really easy to get like lost in the sauce, and you know, I engage it as just a means of trying to like be aligned in myself. So it's like if this channel is like trying to like get me to focus and think about people that fucked me over or betrayed me or like getting vengeance on these people, I'm like, yeah, this ain't it. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel like this is something I should like be sinking into. But you know, like stuff I do like is like, yeah, you know, alignment of mind, body, and soul, or like realizing that you're the creator of your reality and stuff like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
man. I mean, if you look into that stuff, you have to be really discerning. I've had my moments where like I'll check into these like kind of more spiritual messages or channeling or whatever you want to call it, what have you or whatever. But a lot of it's just totally like narcissistic, like fuel, you know, like just I'm the most uniquest snowflake in my town kind of stuff, and that's not good. You know what I mean? Like that's not aiding. I don't think.
Every snowflake is
I'm the chosen one.
No, one of the
unique.
One of the best ones is when you are spiritually ascending, you're gonna start losing all your friends because you're just better than them. And I'm like, dude.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing it's a good thing you're losing all your friends. Totally natural. This is a part of the ascension process. Don't try and get your friends back. In fact, you're better than them. Like it's not always true.
You want to be alone. You want just you and me, this voice.
Yeah, and then it's
with you.
And then there's also the loved one
every 10 minutes.
Right.
There's also the loved one, like with the twin flames thing. That's another big one where it's like, your chosen one is out there somewhere and they're seeking you as you are seeking them. You just have to be patient. You know, like you don't have to do anything. They're gonna show up eventually because that's
wait in your basement actually and get really spiritual in your basement and keep on listening to these messages, and you'll actually attract your twin flame faster if you just do that.
You know what though? I think like a part of the reason why we're viewing it this way right now is because we're thinking about it with our rational minds. Like if you try to like apply logic to it, then yeah, it's all going to be like extremely ridiculous. So I think like one of the reasons why it's hard to call this stuff out is because like if you approach it with a rational mind, you're not even going to like take it seriously. But if you use your intuition, suddenly like all this like resonant energy is pouring into you where into a vessel with like cobwebs because of how empty it was. And then suddenly like you just open up to it, and then you get flooded with all this like external spiritual energy, and it's wild. That's how
Yeah,
I
I
feel
mean,
about
I've
it.
definitely gotten stuff out of it before, but like there's definitely some just really ridiculous stuff out there for sure. And like I said, it's just trying to separate the wheat from the chaff, or like find the right thing for you at the moment, and like something that's not gonna like make you think that you're like super special, unless you are
Yeah.
super special. But in that case, then it's got to keep you humble, you know, in that moment. But like, are you really super special, or do
I
you
also
just feel
I
super
also like
special?
I also don't mind exploring that stuff because it's not like if I lose my shit, it's not like I'm ever really taking anyone with me. Like I don't have like a wife or kids. So if I'm like doing all this spiritual stuff and I end up like, you know, breaking something I shouldn't have, then at least it's not like I'm breaking apart a whole family or anything. You know, at worst I'm just like I'm the only one going down with my ship. So
Yeah. I'm the
yeah.
same at this
Yeah, that
point.
definitely gives you a little bit more freedom to explore the path.
Because you know I do see a lot of like people like who engage with like these new age spiritual practices, and they have like whole ass families and whole communities that rely on them, and it just gets like completely upturned because they're just like one day like I got to quit my job, this is just
Yeah.
not it was not resonating with my frequency, I gotta like I gotta move out of this house, I can't live here with you guys anymore, I'm sorry, this isn't who I really am. And suddenly they
Oh,
move to like
Chris, can
Bali.
you add Andrew back in?
Oh sure, let's see. Here we go.
Yeah.
Wait,
Hey,
Andreas.
money.
Oh, there he is.
What's up,
Yeah.
y'all?
Yeah. What's up? Well, I did have. There was a million little. I was listening the whole time. There was a couple things that I wanted to contribute, but just to stay on topic, I recently was vending at an art show, and there was someone who was reading tarot there, and like during the whole time, I was just like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And like, there's 5 decks of cards on the table, and one of them was just screaming at me. It was Rider-Waite holographic. And it could have been because it was like the tallest deck or the most recognizable to me. But as we were packing up, I'd made enough money during the show to justify a 5-minute reading, and I just asked for a general reading, and it just gave me a play-by-play of the last 8 years of my life. There was, 90%, no exaggeration, trump cards on the table, and then like a 3 of swords, a Page of Wands, and a 2 of Wands. It was like devil, the world, the emperor, the empress, the hermit, the hangman, like all sorts of stuff. And the whole time I was like, yeah, I'm not sure if the universe likes to give me really obvious, loud messages through these cards, like for some reason. And whether you believe in it or not, I think everything, even money, is charged with some kind of energy, and the universe sends us signs through all sorts of little things. They be syncs, or looking at the time, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's 12:34 or some shit like that, or angel numbers or whatever. And it was just really, it sort of affirmed the path that I was on, and it was really reassuring, and it wasn't very jarring, which was comforting. But also, I was just kind of taken aback by how someone who I had never met could, shuffle a deck and lay some shit on the table, and kind of like tell me things in a specific way that, or maybe I'm just a goof, who knows? Maybe I'm just a gullible little silly person. I fell for the Wayfair thing. But whether or not one is like a silly, gullible goof, or like an incredibly rational sort of
Mystic or a schizo.
yeah.
Hey, I'm not convinced that the Wayfair thing wasn't real, bro. I'm just gonna say.
I mean, yeah,
No
no,
shame.
I mean, me either. I always say I accept that everything is plausible, but whether or not it's actually true is up for debate. But I accept that, that, like, everything is equally, not equally, but if something is
Yeah, I could never
possible,
rule that out completely. It's like it's got what, like little chests called Dikembe for like $30,000 and shit. Like that's a little weird, man. Like where are they getting these names like Dikembe and like you know what I'm saying? Like they're not.
yeah, no, I when the maths, it's hard not to, especially when you want to believe, or rather, when you recognize patterns in the power structure that sort of imply that there's already exploitation of kids, and they'll use any sort of resource to.
Wayfair has just what you need.
It's a strange, twisted world we're living in. It's like we have Uber Eats. Lord can only imagine what the super elite have.
Yeah,
dude, that's messed
Especially
up.
with all the Diddy stuff coming out.
That's really what class consciousness is. Just thinking about what all the rich people have that we don't.
Yes, yeah, no, agree. One could. I mean, if someone is logical, you could guess that they have the same things that we have, just at a different scale, as above, so below. They have a much more elaborate or expensive version of whatever we're doing or whatever we have. And
Yeah, dude, like we have
technology.
pornography, and then they have you can choose whoever you want.
Well, the great divide that people are eventually going to have to reconcile with, especially as we like evolve as a species, I guess, do we think like we are a product of reality, or is reality like downstream from thought, from consciousness, from like mind? And that's a big deal, because if it's one way, that means you're going to have to approach life and obstacles in like a very like one whole branch of frameworks. Whereas if you think that if you live as if life is downstream from consciousness, then you're going to have to like pretty much adopt radical self-responsibility. And that's going to be very, very, very difficult for people who, I guess, have been conditioned to believe like every misfortune or grievance in their life is the product of some like power hungry elite or some like nefarious corporation, and they can never live their fully actualized self unless these people go away or die or just go to jail or whatever, so whatever horrible fate these people deserve for like imprisoning you. But yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I don't want to decide for people. Like, I don't think that's right, but I do see like huge implications, in the difference. If this becomes more divisive, like you see the increased polarity, you might see like basically the world ripping itself apart. And I don't know. I think that's like
the world ripping itself apart if people start getting self-accountability.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
So
maybe needed. I mean, you could say that's kind of like that's parallel to rapture. That's parallel to like the 5D split that new age people like talk about and all this stuff. And who knows? I mean, I'm paying attention. Like I want to see what happens.
Getting into
I gotta bounce for a minute. I'll try and come back though.
All right.
No problemo.
With Bashar.
There you guys.
Much love. So
it could be a reset situation for sure.
The Baba Yaga or Vega Yaga prophecy of that Damascus would fall in the year of the dragon, and 2024 was the year of the dragon, and that when Damascus falls, it would start this new war. And it seems like it's kind of happening with like Israel now being pitted against Turkey, being pitted against the USA with the Kurds. It's very interesting what is happening.
Yeah.
Syria, all that jazz.
Very tragic, though.
All I could do is just be grateful to be alive. Like, I don't know what else to do. I'm just like thankful. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you. And Trump, you better keep isolationist America so we have Fortress North America. So as a Canadian, I also stay alive. Yes.
Yeah. Who knows? Would I survive World War III? Probably not. I think I would be like
touch
one.
Back. Can we loop back to the UAP thing? Because now that we're talking about World War III, or the prospect of mutually assured destruction, or
Mad,
you
yeah.
know, all that jazz. What's one pattern that we've recognized with the UAP thing? They monitor and they shut down these nuclear facilities,
Yep.
just to sort of show that they can. Now, if it was like some sort of advanced foreign technology, then MAD would sort of be like out of the question. So I personally like to believe that it actually is ETs or something like that, and they're just kind of flexing like, hey, if you want to go that route, we're going to shut it down. So that sort of implies to me that they're not indifferent and they aren't malicious.
Yeah,
that's kind
absolutely.
of where I stand with the whole thing, as far as all of this escalating international conflict. I'm
They
just
could be
trying to
time
figure out how
travelers.
to.
They could be
Yeah,
like
no,
people
that,
from the
By
future.
definition, if you're going through space-time, you are a time traveler. So, yeah, 100%. It's
Or
where
they
are
could be so advanced that they're not just like flitting around space, but like different points in time, whenever they want, wherever they want. And maybe they just have to like intercede at like specific points for like specific reasons that we'll just never know.
for sure. So I guess worst case scenario is like, oh, you aren't ready to blow yourselves up yet. It's like it's not the time for that quite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But hopefully,
and
best case scenario is like, don't fucking do this shit. Period.
Yeah.
well,
Or
there's legends that they
Like-
actually interfered and like stopped the hydrogen bomb like overreaction. Like apparently it like kept going and like accelerating, and then a UAP appeared and like canceled the reaction or something. That's a story that goes around in the APEC community a lot. Also, Dr. John Brandenburg stated that he had heard that the Roswell incident was due to the fact that it was a UAP showing up at Los Alamos because of the nuclear tests and stuff going on there, and then that we shot it down and we were the hostiles towards it. So, very, very interesting legends in the I guess UFO community. Well, not even UFO, because he worked for DARPA, he worked for NASA and stuff. So,
I mean,
yeah.
ultimately, like if they are also time traveling entities, then at some point they would have to guide us, to be able to do the same thing. Otherwise, maybe that breaks the loop. They're like, we need to secure the timeline where they discover how to manipulate their own timelines. And maybe the field is limited. Maybe you could only go back a certain amount of years or something, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe it takes like more energy to dilate, like whatever, change the time stream or something. I don't know how it would work, but yeah, maybe it's like we're supposed to eventually discover how to like change our frequency to enter different points in space-time.
Start beeping and booping in light language.
Yeah. I don't know. Andreas, how do you feel
You guys
about
watch Star Trek, right?
Yes.
Yes.
You remember Q in Star Trek? Isn't it kind of interesting that Q in Star Trek is basically just about this entirely? This idea that it's some, and it's like on a timeline even. There's this whole thing, right? What's the Star Trek timeline? I'm not even that big of a Trekkie, but it's like in the 20th century, you have some sort of war where a bunch of people suffer, and then there's like a eugenics war. And the 2030s then there's like World War III nuclear bombs, and there's like a fallout for that. And then by the 2070s, they invent warp drive. And then all of a sudden, the aliens who've been watching them forever just show up and tell them they're under arrest. It's like the Vulcans just take over the Earth for 100 years after that, from 2070 till 2175. Not that I'm a Trekkie. I think I could be a little off on the number. I'm pretty sure that's it though. And so then they go, the Vulcans, who have been from the Romulans, so they're like Romulus and Remus kind of a thing, have built this alternative society based on Stoicism. Because Star Trek's all about this Promethean satanic Kirk church after Pike has been Just
The
member.
Romulans are against like the AI though, right? Artificial intelligence or something like that. That
Trek.
happened.
So Trek Christopher Pike in the Cage episode, which is the pilot episode of Star Trek. Christopher Pike is like Christ. Albert Pike, Freemason, Scottish Rite, you know the whole thing. And then he's dismembered like Osiris in the beginning of the episode, which is why they introduced the new captain, Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk replaces Pike, and in fact, at some point they have to find him because he's like living in he had this. Where is it? He was just these guys. Actually, you have to think at first they're the bad guys, and you realize they're not really the bad guys. They just didn't do a very good job putting these people back together after their horrible crash, you know. And so he's rescued by Spock, and he's whatever. This isn't that super important, but he's in this weird, horrible kind of Darth Vader kind of situation, and so Spock has to help rescue him and bring him back to those aliens so that he can be put back into some simulation matrix and be happy, because he can't have his body put back together properly because he's basically like genetically ripped apart and they can't fix it. But that's why Captain Kirk is now in charge of the Enterprise, and he's got this satanic Anton LaVey character, which is what it says in the first pilot script, if you read it, that Kirk's first mate is it's Spock, and he's got this devilish look with, and like literally in parentheses talks about Anton LaVey. They create a society based on Stoicism, which is eventually replaced by a society. I mean, Gene Roddenberry changes his whole mentality after his first wife, and so he's no longer interested in Stoicism as much, and he gets more interested in empathy, which is why he replaces in the Next Generation Spock with Diana Troy. The Troy lady is the Diana Troy. Hold on.
She the one with the curly hair?
She's that lady who's just like she
Yeah.
feels. So she's like an empath, and so she knows what people are doing on the ship. She senses if they're lying or if they're hiding something or whatever. That's
the ultimate hippie.
She replaces Spock, and this happens in the 80s, right? Yeah, Bob's calling it gay space communism. Yeah, I would say that's kind of fair. It's like it's weird because it's like the distinction though that's interesting is the difference between international socialism and national socialism. So they start out in the 2070s. They're put through this dehumanization process by the Vulcans for 100 years, and then they're thrust into this new international universe. But that still is a military group. They're essentially this agency, this information agency built around the ONI, like the Navy intelligence. That's basically what Star Trek is. It's like the naval intelligence. They boldly go to know what no one's known before. They're listening, they're surveilling everyone, and then they're trying to guide these other societies towards beneficial alliances with the Federation. So it's a sort of like fascist space that is created, right?
Yeah.
I forget why we brought this up. Was it because of time travel or something?
Yeah, you're talking about Q.
All right, sorry. That's the thing. So after 2175, then they get to the 22 and the 2400s. And the 2400s, their society is pretty successful, but they meet Q. And this is this ripple in time thing, because who is Q? Q comes from, it's called Far Side, the episode, right? With Far Side, or Far Point. And again, like I'm not a Trekkie, so I forget things like that. I'm sorry. But Far Point is like far in the future. So they're saying he's from the singularity, and he talks about things like that. He's like, I'm from the future, where everything is from a place outside of time, actually, is more what he's saying, right? It's a place outside of time that can like interact with time on whatever level he wants to. So once that means when they do the court trial and he meets Picard, all of a sudden he's not just doing the court trial and pretending to be and like having already known about the past, because in that court trial he's showing like this is what humans were like in ancient Rome, and we're going to put you on trial for what humans did in ancient Rome. He's actually like right then going to ancient Rome you know, and going to the different times because he's so interested in Picard. He becomes interested in his future and his past. And so he's going back and looking because his past is more relevant because it's interesting to manipulate him along the way and more to manipulate his family line and to manipulate his friends' family lines and to interact with their timeline in all these weird ways that could be beneficial or not beneficial. Like he could dick with anybody, you know, or he could make them kind of wealthy families so that they are kind of better off so that he's dealing with the best probable version of that person. And that's, I think, kind of the point that he emerges in the 24s, and then all of a sudden, the times that you see him, those are times that will affect the whether you're in the Mirrorverse or the not Mirrorverse. Because what's it called? Star Trek Mirror,
where everything's shitty and broken and destroyed.
Verse.
So when did we get flipped into the Mirrorverse?
Yeah.
You think we're in
so
the
the Star
Mirrorverse
Trek
now?
Mirrorverse. I mean, that's a funny idea, the difference between a multiverse and a mirrorverse, because a mirrorverse is saying the likelihood of there being a range of realities that are close to this but different in quantum mechanics is limited by the probability of those, or the possibility of those cohesive molecules existing and arranging together. So there might be a lot of these multiverses, but there might not be, because it might be important for them to be
Oh no. Is he gonna come back?
The multiverse did not allow it.
No, there was a Mirrorverse. Well, this is the Mirrorverse, right?
Is he talking about, was he going to lead into how only like a certain number, or like, because matter will likely be arranged in a certain way, there's like a lot of similarly arranged universes, and that maybe that could explain why a lot of those are sort of collapsing into this one with like certain,
right, like the Mandela
effect. Yeah.
Right, like the Mandela effect that seems to be more and more, and like it.
Well,
and
this is
just such a clown world. How did we get to this clown world? It had to have flipped to the Mirrorverse where everything is shitty. Nothing else makes sense.
Well, it's not necessarily shitty. It's just opposite. That's the point. It's the universe is opposite. So, for instance, the Romulans instead of the Vulcans, essentially. In that world, just the exact same thing happened, just opposite. And Kirk is still Kirk, but instead of dressing like a Vulcan, he dresses more like, I mean, you could say a Klingon, like the 60s Klingon, which is because at the time there was more of a multipolar world view between the West and the East, and they were trying to show like not Sovietism as the alternative evil because he was kind of interested in international socialism, clearly, but from afar. More showing like China, like Maoism, showing the kinds of extreme didactic alternatives, which was emerging as an alternative to the Western liberal systems. So it's like a complete opposite. That's the idea. It's the antithesis instead of a range of changes. So Q comes in and changes, and this is from the original. This is the 60s, right? This is the original thought of the Mirrorverse. The Mirrorverse has changed clearly over the years because once they get to the 80s, he realizes, no, it wouldn't just be an opposite day. There would be a range of probabilities that could be Mandela affected, like you were saying, right? That is essentially what Q's job is. And once he's introduced, you can change anything in the story. But it's because he's in a time that's super boring. Like when they show him in the future, it's like the Matrix White Room.
Ultimate conspiracy. Q is real, and he came and created QAnon.
Well, there was that landing, so alleged landing in a military base, and they recovered the craft, and on it was like hieroglyphics that roughly translated to like humans from the future or something.
If there was a Q symbol, we know he is real.
Yeah. I mean, the question is though, like what exactly branches off like the universes or realities into like different universes? And it's, I mean, can you really say it's like an action? I think it's something like consciousness based, right? Because before you do anything or you even think a thought, or it's like an intention, like what comes before a thought, which eventually leads to an action, which could lead to ripples of change that eventually manifest into like whole separate realities. Is it really like intention? Like, take your own life, for example. If it could go into like all these different parallel versions of your reality, like what is the defining switch that like allows your consciousness to experience this instead of the other ones? Is it like some kind of like autonomous intention based system? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
Sorry, I was reading the comments.
Oh.
Personally, I think that I think action does sort of collapse a lot of the probabilities, and there are sort of like those splinters sort of exist theoretically. It's the double slit thing for me.
Yeah, because like like just your observation changes like the behavior of particles or something, and that's pretty interesting. Which tells you that like on the most fundamental on the most fundamental elements of reality, like just observing it like changes things. Like paying attention to things will change it. That's pretty cool.
I think that you could distinguish sort of like a mental observation and a physical observation. So I mean, it works on so many different levels. As far as like probabilities collapsing in sort of like the supra existence of consciousness, and probabilities collapsing in sort of like our immediate local sort of like causal existence, I think there's a difference, because you know how you always talk about like writing letters to your
I was just
future
thinking
self.
about that. Yeah, like journaling and stuff.
Yeah, like, okay, what if you wrote letters to like different versions of your future selves? I'm just saying, like, not you personally, because I know that you're sort of like trying to do a manifestation thing through that, and so you're kind of like focusing that upper level of consciousness to access like a specific future self. But
Yeah,
like,
but the method,
let's say I wrote, yeah.
No, I was gonna. What were you saying? Let's say you wrote what?
Well, let's say you wrote like 3 letters to different versions of yourself, like maybe one that you would be proud to be, one that you would be disappointed to be, and one that, you'd feel relatively indifferent towards. Like technically, well, those 3 would exist until you sort of like brought action into it, right? I mean, that would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's this idea that all points in space and time are already connected. It's not really just like a linear line that you're hopping back and forth, and it's like it's all happening at once, and it's just our brains that can only process it like a conveyor belt, just like event after event. Supposedly, that's not like actual baseline. That's not the real functioning nature of time, if such a thing exists. But yeah, I think also it's like when you write letters to each future possible iteration of yourself, it's like pouring in attention energy, right, to that. So if you pay attention to one more than the others, then I think that like the probabilities are going to collapse in that direction a little more than the others. Because like, what does that really mean? Like when you collapse probabilities through actions, it's never really some grand gesture, like one big act, and suddenly like your whole reality shifts to where you want it to be. It's usually like a combination of like consecutive actions, like small actions, like eating healthier, reading more books, doing less things that are bad for you, like, fixing your diet or whatever. Just like these little acts of affirmation towards your idealized self or your idealized reality. And I think that's what's supposed to happen. Like after you pay attention to that like future self, and then you ask that future self, how do I get to where you are now? Like, can you please give me some advice? And then your future self that you want to be will probably respond, well, stop eating like shit, get more sleep, stop doing these things that are bad for you. Clearly, stop drinking so much. And if you submit to that will, then yeah, probably I think that's like gonna collapse some probabilities. At least that's how I apply these things, like practically.
100%. Like that is great life advice that you're giving, and like people need to practice these sort of things and actually consciously affect themselves and how they turn out, and planning and working on yourself and your mental self and building yourself up to be the best self in the future, right?
Yeah, but that's tricky to do because it's when you like sit there and like actually tell a person like, here's a piece of paper and I want you to write down and describe the exact person you want to be by the time you're 50 years old. That's like terrifying. You know, if you've never done anything like that before and one day you're just like met with this task, like you're going to sit there and you're going to have, it's like rapid soul searching, which is like very scary for some people. Cause the second you do that, you're going to be hit with all these like emotional or mental roadblocks, like personal traumas from your past that like say like, oh no, you couldn't do that. You're no good. And then suddenly you just kill it. Like suddenly you just kill that connection. It's like, no, I can't do this. I don't have time for this. I'm too busy. It is scary. I could speak from like personal experience. When I try to do that, it's, you know, you got to like dig through all your own shit. And, you know, sometimes you just don't have time for all that. Like I gotta get up for work or something. Like I gotta go to sleep. I gotta take my kids to school. Like it's, you got to commit time, energy to it. And yeah, I don't think it's something we could take lightly.
Sorry, I'm in the shower sorry, I apologize for the background noise, but I wanted to touch on, you know, I brought up writing a letter to self that you would be disappointed in. You could maybe say, how could I avoid being this person? For example, in my teens and 20s, I experienced a lot of prophetic dreams. And some of them I was able to heed as warnings and sort of divert action to avoid the negative outcome that I experienced in the dream. So that was pretty wild to experience. And I haven't had any since like the last big pivotal one where it was like a life or death thing. And I, in a very real way, to me at least, avoided dying or making a series of actions that ended up with me dying or whatever. So in the moment, I was able to recognize, oh my goodness, I experienced this in a dream. I remember how the dream ended, and I was able to sort of like choose an alternate path. And I haven't had any dreams like that since.
Yo, that when I hear that, that really makes me think about one of my good friends. He's in AA, and it really is like a life or death situation for them, and they have like they really have no other option left except to like do that really messy inner work. And because at that point it's like it's so needed, it's so necessary at that point where it's like people just walk away. It's like, I'm never coming here again, I'm done with the meetings. And then they're just like, okay. And then they come back and they're like, yeah, I drank again and it didn't work out. It's like, yeah, because you're an alcoholic, you know. It's like this is it. It's like it's either we get our shit together here or we die. And yeah, that's like, to me, that's and I think like AA really does draw from like 12 steps. Yo, it's Kurt.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Welcome.
All right. Nice to see you. I'm just on the road, so I don't know how much I'll contribute. But yeah, nice to see you all. Didn't mean to interrupt at all. Hope you're doing well.
No, it's good to hear from you, man.
Good to hear from you too. Of all that's great in the world, in this CEO killing world out there, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, Luigi.
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 Did you see how illiterate the media is? Like they were talking about, oh, his friends used to play this game, this video game where one of them was secretly an assassin. It's called Among Us.
I just question though, like who ditches a backpack with Monopoly money and then keeps the murder weapon on them for a week straight? Like
a Chad,
right? Like
I don't know. I mean, he did kill someone. He's like kind of that's an unhinged thing to do, because we want to say like, oh,
we don't know that for sure though, right?
Like it's just,
did he say he did yet? Is he like confessed to it? I don't know. Or did he? Or was it more like he said evidence was planted on him? I heard he said he had evidence planted on him.
Well, see, that would make more sense than like the guy carrying the gun around for a week straight. I don't know.
Well, he went into a McDonald's.
They said
went inside.
$10,000. Sorry.
No, sorry. No, he went inside of a McDonald's, not through the drive-through, without like a face mask on. These days, you can wear a surgical mask anywhere and just get away with it. Like
Yeah.
that part almost makes zero sense. Like
It's like
was he
Cyberpunk 2077. We're gonna have like street mercenaries doing hits on like CEOs and stuff for bitcoins.
You'll have to actually use Monero, a privacy coin, to pay for murder. Okay, Bitcoin, it will be on the blockchain.
They're gonna use Hitcoin.
A lot of people, of course, they are supporting the actions taken by this man, and I don't know. I want to view it from it's easy to get stuck or lost in the moment of something, and it's easy to root for a murder for sure. But like, I like to think of being
root for murder, Kurt. We do not encourage rooting for murder.
That's not even one. There are people on the internet. There are people on the internet that are doing it, and so
yeah, he's just commenting on a fact.
Yes,
sure.
But that is wrong. We just have to say that is wrong. We don't officially endorse rooting for murdering of CEOs, right? Like,
by the way, we're about to
Definitely
launch the Luigi coin.
Ooh, all right. Kurt, when is the next ATM Christmas album dropping? Hopefully with the end of Hanukkah, right?
I could help you.
I've never done a Christmas album, except that I do use a lot of bells. Maybe that counts for something. But yeah, right now I'm probably like 6 months out from any project. It's coming along nicely. It just needs a lot of touching up, and a lot more effort is going into it this time around. So it'll be quite a long time, comparatively. But enough about me. Now, like when it comes to people, I think with the whole vigilante, to bring up Crime and Punishment because I haven't actually finished reading the book, but there is the whole karmic factor of like, what happens once you actually become a killer, a person that becomes Machiavellian and sees the end of things, and that justifies the means. And so I think there. I mean, yeah, you can for sure, but it's like, I don't know. I think that was a plot of Star Wars, right? Like the Jedi don't actually want to kill people; they want to, fight for light and not kill people if they don't have to.
Yeah,
I've never actually seen Star Wars, but I think that's. Yeah. So, what actually functionally is going to change? I'm not saying actions have to bring about an immediate change to justify them. But the CEO has already been replaced. It's only been a week. It's like, that's what corporations do. Like, oh, that sucks. Well, anyways, and they move on very, very quickly. What exactly?
Right? It's not good if you don't have a CEO for end of the year.
Exactly.
I mean, live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah, I want to be so strong that I don't have to harm people who even try to harm me. I'm just like so over trying to harm people, like revenge or righteous retribution. Like I'm just so done with any notion of that, man. If you try to fuck me over,
seem like a
energy vampire. You can't feed them your energy.
I guess
it does seem kind of crazy. The story is kind of crazy, and so I don't know. I like the idea that the jury should remain out on it. I mean, but yeah, who knows? A lot of people do crazy things. This guy could have easily done this stuff, but it's also totally possible that we find out something else. I just imagine he's going to say he has a manifesto or something, and because the whole thing with him using a
manifesto published by him apparently in the last day or something.
There you go. And then it'll have the ghost gun, so that like 3D printing is bad and wrong and immoral, and you shouldn't have access to technology because you could use it to be bad. That's the thing. If a gun can be taken from you, a book can.
Right, but what sort of guy has a ghost gun of all murder weapons and keeps it on him for so? It doesn't make sense.
What's the point? Yeah, kind of crazy.
I mean, he said that they planted the money on him, but I mean, there's even people saying that he's a lookalike that they're sort of using as a.
That's my favorite one, where they're like, "Come on, guys, don't be idiots. This isn't him. It's clearly not him. He's just a patsy. That's not the guy." And I'm like, Jesus, how do you know? I want to know how you know.
These days, it's like
Because when
impossible
you
to
know,
tell
you
in
know,
America.
bro. You just know. Did he do
I think
it?
that
You know.
anybody is capable of anything in America anymore. It's crazy. I mean, I think it's totally possible. That's what's insane. I mean, even in
That's
Canada,
why
apparently, Bernie.
Jack from Twitter looks homeless, so that
I'll be right
he
back.
doesn't get a 3D printed gun pulled up on him.
Also, have you
Probably has
noticed
one too.
Elon using his son as a human shield? That's wild.
I mean, do you think that works though?
That's what they're for. That's why he has so
Yes.
many, right?
Oh my god. I think
Uh.
anyone who has like a Robin Hood mentality would be like, you know what? I don't want to
I'm just kidding.
traumatize
Don't
this
kill
kid,
me,
no
Elon.
matter how bad. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Kurt. Do you really worry that much about the? What do you think about? I mean, because you're right. The CEO was replaced so quickly, and it seemed like that he was about to go testify. That's the other thing. If this guy with his manifesto really wanted to do some damage, shouldn't he have waited until after this guy testified? Did he really? I mean, the idea that's why everyone assumed it was an assassin before this guy's face was published in the newspapers. Do you feel like it's still just another
he was a
psyop?
patsy and he was just assassinated?
Okay, this is one of those cases where it's a little bit different, in my opinion, than some other big, huge events that took place this year, and where I don't have. Sometimes evidence comes to the surface where you know the internet just knows right away. You know something really fishy was going on. In this case, it's like I don't think I have enough information to comment. Like so with other risque situations like concerning Donald Trump, I think there was evidence to say a lot of things more concretely without getting too much into the YouTube bannable sort of scenario. In this case, I really have no idea what to say. Only on the revenge side. Okay, another revenge story was the Count of Monte Cristo. Great message about revenge as well. And so there's always unforeseen consequences to trying to necessarily avenge something. Food for thought, I guess. Sorry, I just that's a horrible answer nobody wants to hear, but I just don't have enough evidence from any side to comment on the conspiracy aspect of it.
Yeah,
Damn, I
it
feel like
just
I
doesn't
missed
even
something
matter.
here.
It doesn't even matter if it's a conspiracy or not, because it's at least the optics. If people have one perception of it, that this was going to benefit the corporation, because then him testifying wouldn't happen, and any amount of information that he was required to give in a court hearing would have exposed, right, what was going on. And now he's not able to testify about anything. So the next CEO comes in, if he was to have to testify, would say, well, I wasn't CEO at the time, and I'm not aware of what happened in those meetings except for what's on the official minutes, as we all have the official minutes of these meetings, right? So nothing that was off the record. He would have nothing off the record that they could even show. And even if they can, they're like, well, he's not really here. So everything has changed.
Patsy and sacrificial lamb is why there's motive and the conspiracy going around on the internet. This guy wasn't the guy that did it, but who knows? Maybe he did.
Hey, at least Lee Harvey Oswald told everyone he's a patsy, so at least we got that from Oswald. But I guess similarity is, we got the footage of him being taken into the police station. He's like, yeah, this is an insult to the American people. That's like the only sound bite that we got. So maybe that's him saying he's a patsy. I don't know. Maybe he'll say more.
I think some of the things in his social media were pretty interesting. If he is a patsy and if it is a setup, because there was that thing with Pokemon number 238, which corresponded to a Bible verse about how greedy people don't deserve to live, or something like that. Is anyone familiar with?
Also, 238 is 237 and 0, which is the Kubrick number.
My favorite post he made was the one about how modern Japanese culture is incompatible with like the human animal or something. And he was just going through that whole list. I already mentioned this actually earlier, but I still think that was like hilarious. And then like a bunch of leftists read that, and then they were like, "This guy's an idiot. This guy's just a dummy. He's a tech bro gym rat." And I'm like, "Stop hating on my man. He's cool, except for the fact that he shot somebody."
Yeah, it's also very easy to be an intelligent person, I guess. that could sound terribly awkward, phrased the wrong way. But I mean, he's a smart guy, but no one is immune to radicalization as well. So yeah, you can be great in your domain of competence, but also be like, maybe I should just murder someone today. And you're like, well, yeah, man.
Pentagon denies congressman's claim of Iranian mothership launching drones off U.S. coast.
Well, someone's launching them. I mean, they didn't just show up out of nowhere. We're getting these mysterious drones from somewhere.
Blame the Iranians? Like, ooh, they couldn't even keep Syria together. How are they off the coast of America launching drones? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Just saying.
They're just transporting some aliens. Who knows?
It's giving Bluebeam.
Right. Well, and so I've interviewed both Jack Serfati, like former CIA scientist, and Sal Pius, the former Navy, now Space Force, with the patents for like the orb technology or something like that. But both of them saying that the UAPs come from under the ocean and that there's something down there. So it would only make sense that they try to blame Iran instead of, just acknowledging what's actually down there and going on.
I've seen some theories about the underwater thing. Like they have these self perpetuating autonomous assembly factories that just create these super hyper advanced drones that come out of the sea, do all sorts of crazy things, freak out some pilots, and then they just go back into the ocean for disassembly or who knows.
Right? Like,
I know if Colin were here, he would say it's definitely Atlantis. He would be like, it's the Atlanteans. It's their underwater city, their refugee colony, and they're just sending out.
Like, that's essentially what Sal Pius was like alluding to. He's like, that's like they're the inner underworld peoples.
Well, speaking of which, there's actually something that I've been. What were you saying?
I was going to say I may be totally off base with this since I have a very surface level understanding of most things. But there are apparently these phenomenon in the ocean that are mathematically identical to black holes. And I'm not exactly sure what that means, but people who are way looser with their tongue and equally exposed to information as me on TikTok were talking about how, maybe these underwater black holes are portals and that's why they're underwater and they're using them to travel and stuff.
That'd be pretty cool.
Anyone vaguely familiar with these underwater black hole things?
I have not heard of that, but it kind of makes sense due to
like the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, like the vortex things happening, maybe like the waters.
Because when the density like water gets so dense, super deep, and you have like current, the water is moving too. So I don't know. I'm not sure. All I know.
Oh, yeah, right. I was gonna say because of the immense pressure, right? That would be something else if it's like actually creating like a water black hole.
Interesting. Where things.
The ocean is the real last frontier. We still have no idea what's at the bottom of the ocean. And I'm going to say at least most parts of the earth. And that's crazy to think about. But it's just like we can't. It's hard to go down just 3 miles of water. So,
well,
yeah, we still have
portal to the dark side of the moon.
I've been seeing some stuff about Tartaria popping up on my radar. Do you know what that's about? Like the Lost Kingdom of Tartaria?
Oh, yes. I can tell you all about the Tartaria, but it's mostly the area of Siberia, But we actually found on Google Earth this giant, like, I think it was like 1,500 kilometers, maybe miles, of like this star fort wall that goes from Crimea, which was Little Tartaria, all the way across Ukraine and then all the way across Siberia up to the ocean, or the I forget what the heck they call it now, but it's like the Russian Arctic Ocean. But before it was called the Sea of Tartaria. So it was like there's some sort of lost civilization that was up there called
Interesting.
Tartaria.
And like there was all these like crazy conspiracy videos saying how a lot of old American architecture is actually reflecting that of the ancient kingdoms or super advanced kingdoms of Tartaria.
Oh yeah, the railways where they have these like horse-drawn like carriages that are on the rails or whatever, but it was before the steam engine or whatever.
Right, yeah, like literally, like they had the electric trains being pulled by horses for a while. It was like, what?
You know what? I
Was
gotta do more investigating. I gotta sip more of this conspiracy juice on this history. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Where they're like they pretty much hosted these like fake world fairs where after they were over, they were just like excuses to tear down the super advanced
pre-existing civilization, right? Yeah.
I would recommend, if you haven't seen it, my History Revised Tartaria video from like some years back, and it's like 5 years old, but it's like a pretty decent, quick into like Tartaria, and it's basically there's an east and a west, and they have different flags that are yellow and black, but one is of a eagle, and another's of a phoenix, and there's a effort that's being made to reunite the progressive European powers into some sort of new universal ideology. We talked about it like magnets that are erasing everyone's culture and aligning everyone towards one direction of polarity, which is easier for HARP to control or to create reactions with. But it's all because all the stuff already existed. And you can look into regular history and you start to find the nuances of it and see how it was all really part of this larger confederation of different nation states that were already in a new world order, an old world order, really. Just a confederation of people all over the world, right? So, and then you find out there were people with feathers in their hair in Formosa, which was Taiwan. All of these people were connected all over the world. And then, yeah, there was a kind of explosive environmental change. There was like Krakatoa and different volcanoes and a year without a summer and all sorts of events that made it impossible for civilizations to continue to be sustained in different states around the world. And so then they were conquered by a singular power that all kind of dressed the same. This kind of naval force that emerges. And that you can see from the different wars that happened, like the 80-year war. There was an 80-year war. How do you even know like what the war's about after 80 years? Everything gets erased. And there's this period of iconoclasm that everything is forgotten. So the Spanish controlled Holland, but Holland was part of this Arabic influenced culture, and there's so many more steps to that, what Arabic means, but basically Europe and Arab are the same word, just in different pronunciations, because they were different. Okay. And this is also why Constantinople continued on as Istanbul, because Mehmet II took over, and the Constantinians had to move out of Turkey, Turkey's where all the Christian events and all sorts of things actually happen. Turkey to Crimea. So a major part of this is that the people who run the world, and people from the Crimea's in the Ukraine, there's a lot of people that have a major investment in the future.
There's a lot of Tartars still living in Crimea.
So on a scale of like 1 to 10,
in New York City.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy would you sound like talking about this with your family or at work or something?
So if you didn't watch this video, if you didn't watch this video, yeah, it'd be like a 9. But if you watch this video, I think it's like a 3. You can bring it to like a pretty reasonable place.
All right, I'm glad I asked. Maybe I'm getting the sense that it was like it's like very old knowledge or old trend or fad or whatever, but I mean, I'm new to it. It seems interesting.
It's just the old way everyone used to look at things, and it's pretty much connected to the way things are taught in Russia and in the East already. They already have these sort of everyone knows about the Tartars or taught about the Tartars in school in Russia and in Belarus and places. Yeah, well, I'm trying to say like Romania even. I think Bulgaria also. But not everyone learns about it yet in the West. But if you go and you look into your morals and dogma and look into Freemasonry, Tartars are mentioned like a dozen times.
We got the Road Warriors back in action. Damn, he looks super serious right now.
Nice.
It's like, yeah.
Dude, this is what a shot you had right there. That was impressive. Yeah, Tartaria is pretty cool. Tartaria, depending.
And the mud
Was Tartaria utopia? Was it a utopia?
So I like to think about. Whoa, you're so loud. Oh, brutal. So I'm gonna just mute. Oh, I'm gonna mute both of you guys for a second. Oh, brutal. Okay, is it good? You can hear me? I like the idea that's brought up earlier about the
black holes in the ocean. Oh no. Oh no. Everyone's muted. Andreas is frozen.
Well, I have the opportunity to unmute for a moment. The road itself is kind of loud, unfortunately, but
no, it's all good. I could hear you just fine, my fellow colleague.
yeah, I'm heading. Yes. The plan is to stay in Florida for a couple months, partially for survival. It's a lot warmer.
Well, I hear. Are you going to be near the ocean?
Yes.
Well, you better watch out. You better watch out. I hear there's black holes in the ocean, and if you're not careful, some like crazy shit could come out of there and kill you and do all sorts of mean things. You don't want that.
Black holes and drones, right?
Yeah. Which is probably connected to the super advanced kingdom or empire of Tartaria, which is probably has a hand in facilitating or generating these underwater wormholes and doing all sorts of dastardly things. And this could all be happening off of the coast of Florida.
Now, one crazy thing is, so like basically there's in parts of the ocean, there's super like like lithium dense, like basically energy balls. Like you can use them to make like super batteries. So
plasma orbs.
There's a company that wants to just like scrape the bottom of the ocean for all these things, but they really have no idea what the environmental impact will be. So that was an interesting thing I learned over the past year. It's like, oh, let's just take all the shit out of the ocean and see what happens.
Oh, was that to do with the dark oxygen? I think there was dark oxygen they found there or something.
Dark oxygen?
It's like dark matter. So it's like dark matter. It's some new thing. I gotta pull up the article, but I probably won't find it right now. It was a few months ago.
Here he is.
Okay, so the flamenco timeline thing is important, and there's a number of different adjustments that are found from figuring out that the Catholic Church changed the timeline when the calendar and the history records when they lost control of Turkey and they had to move to Rome, and they wanted to justify that they'd existed longer than they had in Constantinople when Istanbul was taken, and to say that they were the supreme center of all things that mattered, this Exodus diaspora group that had come out of Constantinople. And so they made up a fake timeline, and they forced people to not have kids. The pseudo-Isidorian decrees from the Catholic Church wouldn't let priests have kids anymore, which is not a rule for rabbis, not a rule for the Orthodox, not a rule for anybody. But the Catholic Church has made up that it had been a rule so they could use it in conquering people. So Anatoly Fomenko, he goes and he works around the Soviet Union doing mathematician stuff. He's a university professor, does old school art. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
There's some great Soviet professors.
He also does like covers for books and crazy kind of mathematical paintings. Like he's kind of like an MC Escher that's alive today that is way more interesting because he does this like this weird math art he's doing here. Well, I'll just how are we gonna something like that.
Whoa.
Something like that, yeah.
Did he do the cover of that Tame Impala album, Currents?
It's possible. This
never
was the
saw
other thing.
that.
He's actually done some.
That Magic Square more.
I'm half joking, but we're about to go.
He
Christmas
did. He
shopping
did
and-
do the
and
cover
all
for
listen,
Master
but,
Bogakov.
Have fun Christmas shopping, Andrew. We love you.
Merry Christmas,
Yeah, no
Andrew.
worries. Andrew, it's been good to have you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love you,
Love y'all.
Andrew.
Have fun Christmas shopping.
Thanks for joining in from the shower and enjoy your Christmas shopping with the family. That's commitment.
So yeah, the idea that the timeline was lied about is a big part of Tartaria, and then the idea that also people from the past could have been affected by the future is probably playing into this as well, right? Like I think more and more it's fair to say that we could have anything we want to do with past civilizations unless there's certain timeline that you have to keep protected or else everything would disintegrate and fall apart. So there might be events you can't interact with along the way, but there's probably pre-cataclysmic time that you can exist in. And then there's this idea of like a possible, oh man, they really screwed up the timeline so bad, what can they do? Well, they're outside of time creating a new reality in a multiverse, or better yet, in our own singular universe, they're trying to copy everything that happened and create a simulation or an actual physical femtoscale printed universe that we're existing inside of. And it's all starting from like 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago, whatever you like. And from a seed reality, they create like a seed bank of humans that are designed to perpetuate this reality that took only 2,000 years or 1,000 years to populate to like a tremendous level. Like I think also the idea that then you could have a completely simultaneous the same reality that we're living in right now, but we'd have a completely fake past. There would be no reason for a past. We'd have the complete completion of the idea of 1,000,000 years or 100,000 years or whatever that is. It could be really that we just are living in a 200-year bubble. Anything before 1811, not real.
Simulation
And
bubble.
everything after that.
Can I
It doesn't
spoil
have to be a
Pantheon?
simulation. It could
Did you
be a
see
literal. It could be a literal scale printed universe.
Yeah, did you ever see Pantheon?
3D printed universe. That would make sense. Why everything is so block-like, like it's literal Minecraft world.
Well, there's this I guess you could call it one of those adult smart tunes, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for people because like I saw it a while ago.
Smart, dude, I love that.
Yeah, and it ends where the main character, the protagonist, this is at a time when people could like upload their consciousness into like basically the digital realm, and you essentially live forever this way, especially because it happened at a time where they're able to facilitate, as long as they have like a working sun, they could just keep this thing going forever as long as the physical servers are remaining intact. But then it got to a point like thousands of years into the future where they're able to like send out drones basically with a consciousness uploaded, which could take trips to like distant stars. And she ends up like harvesting everything within that solar system to create like a Dyson sphere. And within that Dyson sphere, she creates like a supercomputer, a hypercomputer, you could say, that's just powered by a star. And within this, she's able to simulate entire universes, like just like whole timelines basically, because they have enough computing power with all that tech powered by a star that she could just like, and since her consciousness is up already like non-physical, it's already uploaded in a digital realm that's basically connecting with every relay point throughout like space. And she just like basically it starts over, like she's like, oh, I just want to relive like getting to this point.
Yeah.
It was a cool show.
That's a very fascinating and plausible theme.
I mean, It's just a good fucking show. I recommend everybody watch it, even though I just like spoiled the ending. But I doubt, like, I don't know.
Did you say this was a cartoon or something?
I will not remember that.
It was an adult, quote unquote, smart tune. And they
Okay,
had
so
a-
it's cartoon. What's it called? Pantheon?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna have to check that out. Sorry about earlier. I came on and my headset wasn't connecting to my ears, so I couldn't hear you guys out of my ears. So it was like literally using my phone speaker to blast you guys out with truck noises, and I do apologize.
No worries, sounding good now.
I'm finally on the road, dude. I was sitting there since 9 o'clock this morning, and they finally got me loaded and out of there. It was ridiculous.
You're in Florida.
Cutting into my sleep time. I'm in Atlanta, and now I'm going to Indiana, a place called Fishers.
But you're on the East
Hauling-
Coast, so
hauling
that's
flowers.
5 p.m. now. You're finally on the road.
Yeah, I'm a florist. I'm holding a lot of flowers, which is nice because I don't have to worry about my weight being super large. The flowers only weigh 20K.
Flowers, like flower power, man. Like it's better than carrying weapons or, you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just taking this and going to San Francisco, and just I'll go over there and give them flowers for their hair.
Right?
Yeah.
Be a hero. Go straight to California. Flower power.
Never know. There could be like kilos of coke hidden in the flower pots.
You know, I never know if there is. There could be every single time, which is kind of a trip because I have to go past like Border Patrol whenever I'm in Texas a lot. And, you know, so supposedly because my father-in-law is Border Patrol, so I asked him, I was like, why is it that all they do is just ask me if I'm a citizen and smile at me and let me go? And he was like, well, because they're scanning you.
Yeah.
They already know if you. They already know, dude. Like, they know if you have people with you.
Don't have a trailer full of illegal people that you are human smuggling, so you're okay and continue on.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are allowed to know that, but apparently that's a thing.
Yeah, no, they have these X-ray things above the highways that even in Canada, and yeah, it scans everything. It's been I found that out when a few of my former friends that were criminals got arrested because they went under those scanner things.
Yeah, it sounds like pretty Star Trek to me, dude. I don't know where. Like, I keep on looking when I come up to the checkpoint. Like, where is their scanners? Because I don't see them, dude. Like, it sounds like it's on another level though. I kind of offended him too because I told him, I was like, that's why it seems don't do anything. He just looks at me like,
Jack Draper's getting exposed to X-rays without consent. And yes, everyone is, at least in Canada, when you're driving on the #1 highway outside major cities at the way stations, they have these X-ray things right up above.
Don't X-ray me, bro.
Yo, I just can't wait till Colin sees his first UAP, because I think it's like the big three, like to spot UFOs are like pilots, sailors, and truckers.
Dude, I did see something the other day. It wasn't super crazy or like climactic or anything, but I just had this feeling. I was like, like, because I'm looking over at a plane, right, and I'm seeing its flashing lights, and I'm like, okay, that is not a UFO. But I got this feeling like UFOs are out right now, right? So I look over to my left, and there's this glowing ball, and as I look at it, it fades into the clouds and leaves. And so that may have been a UFO. Yeah, maybe.
Cool.
Maybe you could broadcast some kind of signal, like something like a Pi or something, a Raspberry Pi that could just broadcast, hey, come reveal yourself to me in like some high frequency.
I'll tell him I know all about Ashtar, dude, and like hook it up with the space relationship because I know about the Galactic Federation. So I'm one of you. I'll tell him that.
Maybe that's just more specific to people. Like if you like really scale down like a hidden message in like a piece of music, supposedly the brain still subconsciously picks it up. Like it's like some satanic message, but like super like in such a low frequency that it's barely audible.
Don't you just have to play records backwards to get that though?
Play that record backwards.
I never
did
that
stuff's real.
Is it? Oh, I know some
yeah,
did it
dude.
on
Like
purpose. Yeah.
they legitimately, you know, like we're adding stuff into songs, and a lot of them, like probably that are less. There's probably a lot that people just don't talk about because they didn't find them or think of like. But there's people that went around and like using their record players and listening, scratching the shit out of their records, trying to like dive in and look for treasure in all of the records back then. But guaranteed they do it still, like to this day. And sometimes it was done as a joke, and sometimes it, you know, and it's like, oh, it's all jokes. You don't know if it's jokes. It's like plausible deniability, right? Like, oh yeah, we were just having fun with this new technology. It's nothing to pay attention to, you know. Like we weren't trying to do anything nefarious. It's just jokes. You know what I mean?
Just jokes, and do it in front of a mirror with a bunch of candles lit and while chanting, and yeah. And a circle.
Yeah, we had a ritual when we recorded that backwards message, and we casted spells, but it's all jokes.
Just
Yeah.
joke.
I don't think that's the. I don't think that's if there is like if there is evil intention injected into music or music production. I don't really think it's in like hidden messages or something like that. I think it's a lot more maybe monotonous. Like maybe it's just more where you tie certain emotions to other states of anxiety, I want to say. So I guess you become like a better customer, a better slave, like, or someone who just engages in bad habits that ultimately makes you a better customer. Like, you know, like the most basic thing is like sexuality and music about that. It's like, oh, you ain't shit. You'll never be shit. You'll never have me. All of you guys ain't shit. And then it's like you get this like super sexy girl singing it in a super sexy voice, and it's like it's gonna make you feel like shit.
Yeah, a lot of what the industry does is not so much like the subliminal messages and the backwards backmasking and stuff like that. It's more so like what it's all about is I can't say that word right now. You know what I'm saying? Desensitized over time. It's the things that you get used to that you wouldn't have been used to before. You're like the frog slowly boiling in water, right? And it's the things that now society is okay with, that if they would have just come out with this music or these movies like way back in the day, it's just this gradual shift of attitudes, and it's the things that you don't even notice that you're getting used to, in my opinion.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
Like, yeah, I'm trying to think of some like good examples of like of music that just has like super, but it's probably not worth making a list, you know, because you could probably find hidden meaning in any song if you were just like schizo enough and projecting enough. So
yeah, and it's hard to tell which ones are legit or not.
I mean, some music is just blatant. You know, there's some music that I'm pretty sure some of my favorite music suggests that I should go out and rob people and like shoot people. And I don't think that's a good idea to do in real life. But it's interesting how like and
if it happens to them, they're a sucker. They deserved it.
Yeah. Like rationally, I know this stuff is probably not good, but emotionally, I'm like, yeah, this makes me feel good. I kind of outgrew that stuff, but I remember liking it. I remember getting down with that.
I'm pissing everybody off on the road right now.
Dog life. Shit.
I'm in a traffic jam and I'm just like taking my super slow ass truck, accelerating into the lanes. Like every time there's a break in it, I just go over anyways. Like, what are you gonna do about it? I need to get places. But everybody's getting so mad at me and like accelerating past me. I just cut like 3 lanes. It was great. I love it, dude. The amount of power that this big
traffic cam.
Big thing. Dude, I should do that. I should like get a setup where I can like switch over to the traffic cam and be like, here's the view of the road.
Exactly.
What's going on the streets?
Taking APM to a whole new level. To the streets.
Taking it to the streets.
You should spray paint. You should spray paint APM in big letters on your truck.
Oh hell yeah! I would love to do that.
That would be based.
I can't do that, but I would love to do that.
You guys have thoughts that are like, because we're near the 2-hour mark, that you want to think about sharing now?
I have some closing statements. my only closing statement, as always, is thank you everybody watching for watching. It's really chill that people would actually invest time into listening to us bullshit about intuitive nonsense. So thank you.
Enjoy the memes.
Word.
Basic. I like that. What about you, Bernie? What are
I
you thinking
mean
about?
business, and I've been working on some crypto projects, some meme coins, some AI meme coins, and I'm thinking APM should be an AI meme coin. And
Oh
you know,
no, I know where
we'll
this is
hawk
going.
it to the world, but we won't. We'll put 99% of the coins to the open market, unlike Hawk Tua that kept 97% of the coins to themselves.
Yeah, you
And
could
then
trust.
that way we won't all go to jail and we'll be good, but we can hawk it to a meme coin out of APM and take it to the next level.
Trust in the coin, in the APM coin.
I want to say something. I have something to say. So, right when it broke, I was like one of the first people to say it, that like, bro, like when you've got insurance and the insurance isn't insuring the insurance that you should be insured and be assured that you're insured that insurance, that's a problem, right? But I don't know if we necessarily want to start living in this life is a video game thing where we start like glorifying killers, gunning down people in cold blood on the streets. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. Like, I
3D
get it.
printed
Okay.
guns.
Like, I totally get it. I'm not going to lie. Like, there is a primal part of me that's like, oh, God, I got what you deserve. Like, I get it, dude. But, like, I really just don't think we should be putting that out there. There are people that will take this and they're like ready for blood. They've been like waiting. They've been waiting and praying in their basements for too long, man. And they're like, is this the revolution? Is this a revolution, guys? Like, and you guys are egging them on. I think, you know, like,
We
I just don't know if
want to
this is
become
necessarily
Syria.
like what if this was Hillary Clinton? What if this was Nancy Pelosi? You know what I'm saying? Like, this was a CEO, so it's okay. It's socially acceptable because capitalism. Oh, capitalism, so bad. But like, if this started merging over into like,
that's the thing, and that the bar.
but people are acting like it is.
Yeah, because the bar has been lowered so far down, and it's like, no, we have to keep the bar at a certain level, and no, it is not socially acceptable to start killing people. That is like, you know, that's like the basic bar of humanity, and that we.
But guaranteed, there's already been like 5 crazy mother people out there that have already been inspired to be copycats. You know what I'm saying? And like all these people, like I have all these groups on Facebook that have like. They have like 100,000. Some of y'all are in some of them, you know,
Echo
like
chambers?
Degenerates like you. Yeah, like, well, they're not echo chambers because they're duking it out. Like, it's like the people on the left and the people on the right, like, and like it doesn't even have anything to do with the group anymore. It's been ever since Kamala like came into the situation, like bot farms or something. I don't know, but like there's these like it's like hundreds of thousands of people, and they're like putting it out there. Yeah, he was a hero. He was a hero. He was a hero. And I'm just like, bro, like, okay, like I get that, like in your video game version of life, that you think that's cool, but let's all be real for a second and just like murder kind of isn't cool. You know what I mean?
Man
like,
had a
if we want to.
right?
He had a family, and like I get it, dude. It's not edgy. It's not funny. It's not trendy to like be the guy that I'm being right now. That's got to be like, yo, like this is not necessarily a good thing, but it's not necessarily a good thing. And just watch what the reaction is. If there's these copycats, they go out and like, what if that just makes life worse for everybody? Because that just what it does is, if we're not careful, it will necessitate and justify more draconian laws being made in order to protect these fools. Instead of what we should do is, if we see a problem with society, with the world, with politics, with whatever that we care about, we care deeply enough that we're ready to go and like shoot somebody and go out there and like do something like that, which guarantee none of these people have families because they wouldn't be doing that. But if they're going to throw their life away so they got nothing to lose, How about you put it into like some positive change? You know what I'm saying? Like you could devote the rest of your life instead of getting gunned down because you shot some fool and having all these negative consequences. What you could do is you could actually like try and live your life in a positive way. That's not the easy way out, you know, and just not be a bitch about it. So that's what I have to say. Thank you very much for listening.
Said. Well said. And it's basically, it's like, stop being a fucking snowflake, people. Like, life is reality. Like, get out of the simulation.
Yeah, man. Like, I get it. It's like,
What's up, Kurt?
It's yo. No, that's good. It's important not to be. The internet is horrible at managing the impulsivity of society, and so that might be an area in which we've kind of stepped backwards. Is everything is just purely reactionary anymore? So that's not to be preachy. I think that's just like what it seems like. And meditate.
You're glitching.
Think that your actions have consequences. Sorry,
we got you.
I'll be very slow.
We got you back.
Hope everyone's
beautiful.
I'm loving what I'm hearing. Keep going, bro. You're back.
Yeah, the internet's bad for our impulsivity. Your consequences actually have your actions have consequences. And that's not to say that comes from an authority. That's just from the nature of life itself. Everything is a symbiotic relationship. A lot of podcasts out there about the Kyoto School of Philosophy. Philosophy, yeah. But if you don't view yourself as a subject in a universe that's an object, but rather a symbiotic relationship, maybe you can understand a lot of the ways people bring about their own suffering. And, I think, an act of violence is a karmic act. And that, objectively, that is what it is, So, hope you're all doing well. I hope your mind can be at peace. And I think it's easier for your mind to be at peace if you're less focused on vigilante justice in general, We all like a good Robin Hood story, of course, but it's important to watch your soul, watch your karma, or at least, entertain the idea that you have a soul, I guess. So, yeah, maybe a CEO had a soul too at the end of the day. It's like, at the end of the day, you kind of felt bad for Darth Vader, So that's an important message too. I didn't even watch Star Wars, but I know at the end that you kind of sympathize with the guy that you hated the entire time.
Even though he did the younglings in. I can't forget what he did about the younglings.
Well, dude, they had it coming. Anyway,
you got a meme about it. Let the meme
snooty little youngling children.
So I would say never take the internet for granted, I guess, also, because I think that like MySpace, like Excite, like Facebook, like your iPhone, right before a new one comes out, they can just start winding down service and make it not work really well. And I've been through a lot of these. Like Amazon is kind of the same, but Yahoo Radio, right? Like all of the things that you used to get used to start to change once they've already got what they needed out of you and they have a hold of you and have a monopoly over the area where you live, and they no longer need to worry about it anymore because they're the only company that can be relied on. And if they don't need to serve you anymore, it can go away, which seems to be what's going on with the internet right now. I mean, at least kind of. It seems like we're being...
I've had that weird feeling, bro. Like, I know you're saying that, and like people maybe are not really realizing like that that's going on or whatever, but I've had that intuitively in the back of my head, like in the back of my skull, like something is up with the internet. Like we are taking it for granted and it may not be here, like
don't
if we start
a government internet lockdown, because that would suck.
Yeah, you never know. But hey, if they do lock it down, there's other avenues that could open up. So, one door closes, another opens.
Yeah.
There's what we need.